What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video, on First Take, they're going to be talking about, can Jimmy Garoppolo be trusted to take care of business against the Kansas City Chiefs? Now, I know we already asked this question on the Get Up, but I just wanted to get a different point of view on First Take. So let's see what they have to say.
Do you trust Jimmy Garoppolo?
I do. And that doesn't mean I'm picking them to win. We're going to make our picks, in the next couple days. Look, Jimmy G, best passer rating when trailing. Look at the fourth quarter comebacks. He does all that stuff. It's different this time because it's not just like he's doing it in a vacuum. He's competing with Patrick Mahomes, the best I've ever seen. So it makes it harder to keep up because you can do everything right, and then Mahomes can just do something that no one else can, including Jimmy G. But that's not the question. The question is...
Yeah, and I think Patrick Mahomes is definitely going to have his hands full with the San Francisco 49ers defense.
Do I trust Jimmy G in a high-scoring game? Yes, because one of the reasons he's 23-5, the best winning percentage ever through this number of starts in his career, it's not just that he's been lucky to be with Bill Belichick and Kyle Shanahan. It's not just, look, that they wanted him, that Belichick wanted him, that Shanahan wanted him. It's that he has a quality about him that he's a do-what-you-need-him-to-do quarterback. Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, maybe Dak Prescott, will see. There's some guys who strike you as the type. You need them to game manage, they'll game manage. We need something else now. Can you rise as the pressure mounts? The answer is yes. As more is asked of him, he delivers more. That doesn't mean that he'll out-duel Patrick Mahomes. I don't think anyone ever is capable of doing that. But do I trust him when you need to score? Yes, I do. He's proven it. He's shown it under pressure. Everyone brings up the Kittle pass. Yes, that was partly Kittle, but that gave them home field. Maybe they're not here. Kittle has one of the all-time great plays, but still, it was a great pass, great play. Maybe they're not here if they have to go to Green Bay, which if he doesn't make that play, they do. I do trust Jimmy G.
So I'll say this about Jimmy Garoppolo. He can definitely get the job done. And if it gets to the point where it's fourth quarter, it's, a close game, and he has to get in a shootout with Patrick Mahomes, I'd probably still go with Jimmy Garoppolo. Not necessarily because of him, but I think the 49 defense will be able to do enough to neutralize and stop Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Tyreek Hill, which will indirectly make Jimmy Garoppolo look like he's balling. Like I said, Jimmy Garoppolo, he can definitely get the job done. We know he can do that because he did against the Saints, against the Packers, against the Seattle Seahawks. So I know he can get the job done. I don't want to get to the point where he has to go shot for shot with Patrick Mahomes because I don't think he could win that. So I'd rather, not get down to the wire to where, like I said, they have to go back and forth because I'll be very, very wary of Jimmy Garoppolo throwing the ball. But I think the 49er defense won't let it get to that point because I think they're going to be able to have something for Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Tyreek Hill. So I think the 49er defense is going to help out Jimmy Garoppolo a lot. So he'll be able to do what he needs to do. He'll have enough breathing room so he'll be able to run the ball more than he'll have to pass because he'll have that luxury because the defense is always getting stops. So let's continue.
I'm glad you do. I'm not there. That's number one. Number two, I would like you to personally do me a favor, please. Please stop acting like the 49ers moved heaven and earth to get Jimmy Garoppolo. Who would not have taken a guy that started out 7-0 in his career as a starter?
He was 2-0 when they traded him.
I'm sorry, 2-0 as a starter, and then he went 5-0 with San Francisco. But he started off 2-0. He had been playing for Bill Belichick. He was Belichick's heir apparent. And oh, by the way, because I'm upset that Mr. Robert Kraft said I can't trade Tom Brady, I'm going to sit up there and trade Jimmy Garoppolo for a second-round pick when Cleveland was begging for him and would have gave up the number 12 overall pick for him. Stop acting like the 49ers.
Fired Belichick.
I'm just saying, stop acting.
Yeah, but look, at the same time, though, with Jimmy Garoppolo, they didn't go wrong. The New England Patriots, they didn't make the wrong choice. Like I said, Tom Brady went to 2 Super Bowls and won one out of those 2. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo could have done any better. Definitely could have done any better. So they were smart to err on the side of caution and go with the guy that's more of a sure bet than Jimmy Garoppolo because Tom Brady can do it. So they didn't make a wrong choice. Now, maybe going forward, they may have missed out on what Jimmy Garoppolo has in the future, but we don't necessarily know what he can do yet. So I won't feel bad if I was Mr. Kraft and the New England Patriots because you made the right choice. You got 2 Super Bowls and won 1 Super Bowl out of Tom Brady, and I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo could have done any more better. So it wasn't the wrong choice. So let's continue.
Like the 49ers, oh my God, they wanted him so desperately. You know what? You'd have a good point if they were willing to give him a first-round pick for him.
They gave him $137 million.
Oh, no, that's it. That
They didn't move heaven and earth.
No,
the point is you said they moved heaven and earth.
Right.
It was a second-round pick.
I said they moved heaven.
Yeah, you did. That's just literally the word you said. You said they moved heaven and earth.
100.
Right.
They made him. They not only traded a second-round pick,
We know what
they
it's
paid him like a franchise quarterback.
Max, we know him. 137 and a half
And they're in the Super Bowl.
72 million guaranteed. We're
they just
aware
moved
of that.
heaven.
But
They just moved
gave him
heaven. Ernst stayed
they
there.
gave him a second-round pick and then paid their own quarterback. So what? Here's the deal. In the end, did you know this? That with the exception of the 349 yards that Jimmy G had passing in that 48-46 win over New Orleans. Did you know the only time he threw for over 300 yards was against Arizona? In the 2 games against Arizona. At no other time did he do that.
Yeah.
Okay, now this is with George Kittle as your weapon. This is with Deebo Samuel as your weapon. Now, Monster, we didn't know that he was going to be what he is, and I give you that. And they didn't have Emmanuel Sanders until the second half of the season. We get that. But you got George Kittle, you got Deebo Samuel, right? Got Kyle Shanahan calling plays. Got an offensive line that protects you. You got a defense that gives you mass opportunities to capitalize
He's got
over
a great tight end and good receivers.
No. What I'm saying to you is that but he also has a great defense that gives him the ball with enough opportunities and not under pressure to produce because they're doing what they're doing.
Tom Brady had the last couple
all I'm
years.
trying to
So that's exactly what I'm saying. So I think the defense of the San Francisco 49ers has really helped out Jimmy Garoppolo. Again, Jimmy Garoppolo can get the job done. I know what he's done against the Saints, against the Seattle Seahawks, and against the Packers. But if there's anything I would be worried about on the 49ers team, it would be him. And I definitely don't want to see him go, shot for shot if it's the fourth quarter and it's a tight game with Patrick Mahomes, because I don't think he can outduel Patrick Mahomes. But I think it won't get to that point because the 49ers defense, they know that they better get some stops and shut down Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes so they can give the ball back to Jimmy Garoppolo so he can do what he does. But again, like I said, I'm very wary of having Jimmy Garoppolo get in a shootout with Patrick Mahomes. So let's continue.
say to you, Tom Brady didn't have this defense. All I'm saying to you is that at the end of the day, Jimmy G, high-scoring game.
So, like,
Can I just give one thing perspective?
And again, he doesn't necessarily have to be throwing the ball all the time, because if you can run it and they can't stop it, then that's generally what you want to keep doing. But at some point, you're going to have to be multidimensional. At some point, there's going to be no place to hide. If you can't pass the ball, you're going to get exposed. And I think that might be an issue against the Chiefs, because the Chiefs shut down the run. And that's what the 49ers have pretty much been doing the past couple of weeks. They've been doing a run. And like I said, the Chiefs shut down Derrick Henry last week. He had 19 rushes for 69 yards and 1 touchdown. And he's one of the best rushers in the league. So it's not going to get any better with the San Francisco 49ers. So they might shut down that run, and the Chiefs will force Jimmy Garoppolo to throw the ball. So he might not get away with, being able to run. But I think that's where defense comes into play. They're going to give him the luxury to get even a 1-score lead and be able to run the ball, because the defense will be able to get stops and give him the ball back. So let's continue.
Get the passing yards. He's 12th in passing yards, but he's 5th in passing touchdowns.
Right.
I mean, he has 3+ games with. He has 3 games with 3+ passing touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes just has 6. It's not that different.
Yeah, I think that I don't want to pretend like he's not a good quarterback.
I'm
I
not
think
saying
that
he isn't
we all, to be
he is
clear,
good.
we all think he's a good quarterback.
He is good.
And I think he's capable of winning in that situation. Do I trust him or do I feel confident? No. And part of your argument is suggesting that because Belichick believed in him and because Shanahan was able to pay or was willing to pay so much money, him and Lynch were willing to pay so much money, that contract was a unique contract. It was front-loaded literally because they did not trust him and they did not believe in him. And the way that they've treated him so far in his playoffs suggests to me that they do not trust him. And he's showed them why, where he's thrown balls that should have been intercepted.
A couple bad throws,
and weren't. So and I think part of this we're talking about, we all accept that something's different about the playoffs. We haven't seen him.
So there is definitely something different about the playoffs. It's win or go home. So definitely, I think the 49ers, they're not super confident with Jimmy Garoppolo throwing the ball because last game they went 6 for 8. Now, granted, they ran a ball all over the Packers, so it's kind of deceptive. You think, well, why would they pass the ball if they can run it all over like they did against the Packers? But like I said, it still is indicating the defense allowed Jimmy Garoppolo to be able to not pass a running ball because they were getting stops against the Packers, which allowed Jimmy to do what he needed to do. So like I said, he went 6 for 8 for 77 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks against the Packers. And then against the Minnesota Vikings, he went 11 for 19 for 131, 1 touchdown and 1 pick. Like I said, those aren't the best of numbers, but like I said, it kind of is an indicator that the 49ers aren't completely sure with Jimmy Garoppolo throwing the ball. Like I said, they've been running the rock. And last game against the Packers, Raheem had 29 rushes for 220 yards and 4 touchdowns. They couldn't stop it. But the Kansas City Chiefs can definitely run stop because they shut down Derrick Henry last week. They shut him down, 19 rushes, 69 yards, 1 touchdown. It's not going to get any better with the San Francisco 49ers. So Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be exposed. He's going to be forced to throw the rock, and that's where I think there might be some problems, and I think that's where his defense is really going to help him out. So let's continue.
Do it in the playoffs. Something's different about the teams you're playing in the playoffs, the level of game plan that goes in the playoffs, and the pressure in the playoffs. All the things that we're pointing to, saying that we know he can do it because of all of these things, we have not seen him do any of that in a playoff, that type of pressure situation. And you're saying that you trust him to do it?
Well, in all fairness, Jimmy Garoppolo has done it in some high-pressure situations, as high as he can get, or during the regular season, like he did it against the Packers. He did it against Drew Brees and the Saints. He did it against Russell Wilson in the Seattle Seahawks. So those are huge games, especially the last game against the Seahawks. They beat them at their house, and that was to get the first-round bye. So they definitely Jimmy Garoppolo can do it in big-time games. Obviously, this is going to be the biggest one. But I don't want the 49ers to let it get to that point to where you have to depend on Jimmy Garoppolo going pass for pass with Patrick Mahomes, because I think Patrick Mahomes will win that. But I think the 49er defense will be able to neutralize the Kansas City Chiefs and give Jimmy Garoppolo plenty of opportunities to do what he needs to do. So let's continue.
For the very first time in the biggest game of his career, that's where I have a hard time.
Seen him,
I think he's capable, but I'm not going to say that I trust him, that I think he's more likely than not to succeed in that situation.
You have to, right, but that's what we're really asking. Like,
right, I think he's
in the end, you have to make a bet.
Right.
Where do you bet?
If
I think he's more likely. The New Orleans game is a good example. Where I've seen him in high leverage moments, you're right, he threw a couple passes that should have been picked, and they haven't had him throwing a lot of balls since then. I get that. And by the way, that's Shanahan's kind of signature. He goes with the hot hand. He rides the moment. But Jimmy G could easily, if they need him to throw the ball, he's going to throw the ball. And then the question is, do you believe he'll be successful? I do.
Well, listen, if I believe he's going to be successful, it's because I have little faith in Kansas City's defense. That might be, and I think they've improved. But I'm saying if that's the question mark to me, but I've said it before, and I think I've been validated in these playoffs by saying this. You think about 4 different layers of the San Francisco 49ers before you even get to their star quarterback. You got your
So I'm definitely going to have to agree with that. There are definitely plenty of layers before you get to Jimmy Garoppolo. That's why I say he's the weakest link, and people don't understand what I mean when I say that. I'm not saying he's trash, but he's the weakest link on a super strong team, the San Francisco 49ers. But like I said, with that said, he can get the job done, but that would be the last resort for Jimmy Garoppolo. I would have him throw the ball. That would be the last resort, is to have him throw the ball. But I think the defense won't let it get to that point, and maybe they can get their run game going. But the last resort, I would want to have Jimmy Garoppolo throw the ball. He can do it. He's came through before, but that would be my last resort. So let's continue.
Offensive line led by Bosa. You've got your secondary led by Sherman. You got your running game with Mostert and Tevin Coleman. You got Kyle Shanahan and his play calling. I'm just saying that you look at San Francisco, the well-balanced team that they are.
Well, how would you explain this then?
Yes.
How would you explain this? And this is a super small sample size, but Garoppolo was 2-0, Brissett was 1-1. That's very small. Then he goes to San Francisco, they're 5-0. Mm-hmm. Then he gets hurt. What are they, 4-12? Then he comes back, they're 13-3. It's not just that he has this incredibly excellent winning record, the best ever through this number.